Porsche might be most famous for its iconic sports cars like the 911, but they're not where the company makes most of its money. In fact, their best-selling model around the world is the Cayenne SUV. So it's no wonder that when it chose to expand its lineup, it added the Macan, a slightly smaller and cheaper little brother for the Cayenne.
The Macan may be an SUV, but it's patently obvious what Porsche wanted to remind you of. Everywhere you look, there are bits and pieces that consciously ape the 911. In fact, so much is so similar, you'd be forgiven for thinking the Macan's designers broke into the 911 office one night and photocopied every design they could find. Everything from the headlights, the air intakes, the wheel arches to this wraparound bonnet are lifted pretty much straight from Porsche's most iconic car. In profile too, the Macan is more sports car than SUV. This dipping roofline at the rear, again, consciously echoes the 911 and gives the Macan an appearance that's much more coupe-like than you'd expect of an SUV. It's neat that you can customise the colour of the side plates at the bottom of each of the side doors, but don't go thinking that every Macan looks as good as this particular one. The aluminium roof rails, grey metallic paint and stainless steel skid plates are all options and each will cost you several £100. And the stunning 21-inch wheels will add thousands to your purchase price. As with the exterior, so with the interior, the design is classic Porsche. Anyone familiar with a 911 or a Boxster will instantly recognise the view from the driver's seat in the Macan. And again, that's entirely deliberate. Porsche wants you to think of this as a sports car, and that impression begins well before you even start the engine, with these 3 circular dials on the dashboard and this bulky and high centre console giving it a cockpit-like feel. What's also impressive is the car's quality. The Macan is packed full of plush materials and everything is assembled superbly well. Every model in the range also comes with standard electric seat adjustment, so it's really easy to find a comfortable driving position too. As far as the driver's concerned, the only real problems are the view out of the rear window isn't great, and the sheer number of buttons and switches on this console can be really confusing. Once you're in the rear seats, this sports car becomes a perfectly reasonable family car. Despite that dipping roofline, there's decent headroom in here. Well, as long as you avoid this optional panoramic sunroof there is, and the boot will take 500 litres. True, that's not as much as in some of the Macan's rivals, and rear legroom is also a little bit tight, but the boot is a nice square shape, every model has an electric operated tailgate, and these rear seats are easy to fold down when you need more space. Out on the road, the Macan reveals just how much of a sports car it really is. Every model has a turbocharged V6 engine, and even the diesel, which has to make do with a mere 250 odd horsepower, gives blistering performance that'll set your heart racing. But what really sets the Macan apart from other SUVs is how it goes round corners. It's every bit as agile as a Porsche should be. On the adaptive dampers that are standard on the Turbo and optional on the S models, body roll is extremely well contained and there's tremendous grip and traction at all times. As a result, the Macan is incredibly agile for an SUV, and that's in comfort mode. Pop it into Sport or Sport Plus mode and it all gets much sharper, as do the responses to the steering, the gearbox and the throttle. If you then add the optional air suspension, things get better still. Not only does it make the handling sharper, it makes the ride more corseting too. Well, as long as you steer clear of some of the really big optional wheels and tyres, that is. Overall, it's astonishing that a car as big as this can be so sporty and yet so comfortable. And as if that wasn't enough, the Macan also has one more string to its bow. It's a surprisingly good off-roader. Of course, precious few owners will really explore its full abilities in the toughest conditions, but it's rare to find a car that is so good on and off-road.
If you're in the market for an SUV, there's no shortage of options to tempt you, and several are cheaper than the Macan. Even so, thanks to its enormous range of abilities, the Porsche deserves a place on anyone's shortlist. Part sports car, part family car, and part off-roader, this truly is a multi-purpose vehicle.